Hey guys, Steve here again. So yeah, don't judge me. You might see, some of the outfits matching because I am doing a few videos here back to back. I just had a lot of ideas on my mind, so wanted to get them all out on camera. So this video is going to be particularly about Mega Dream and Ascended Heroes and kind of what things look like and my perspective on what things might look like in the near future here. Um, So I know Ascended Heroes is again a special set and very similar to like Prismatic Evolutions, and I think it's going to be similar in the fact of it's going to be hard to find product. It's going to be more expensive. Most of it is probably not going to be found at retail, at least readily accessible at retail. And so my perspective on it is that I think Mega Dream EX is going to hold value, and I don't mean that necessarily from a standpoint of like the cards value and all that, but I mean like the value for the collectors in being able to open and the accessibility and still get the really cool artworks, all the beautiful SARs and the art rares, everything that the set has to offer, at a much lower price point. And so I think the value is there, right? So accessibility, cost, and and the enjoyment of actually being able to rip and collect. Um, so I think that's where the value is for it. And then, if you look at Ascended Heroes right now, pre-sales are probably all over the place, but I keep hearing from all sorts of sources, being folks that have distribution, have English access to English product distribution, about how much lower their um, allocations came in versus what they were requesting or what they might have seen in a typical set or a similar set like sorry, like Prismatic Evolutions. So that leads me to believe, and if you've probably seen them out there, the pre-sales of how expensive the product's going to be, and especially the way the product waves are coming out. The first wave at the end of the month here, end of January, is going to be some products where it doesn't have a whole lot of packs available, right? And then, so if you're thinking a lot of places having limitations in terms of the number of items you can purchase, you're not going to be able to get a whole lot of packs at that. And then I would expect a lot of shops, because their allocations are lower, to have to charge more between demand and the fact that their supply is low. They're going to have to charge more, right, to make the money off of the set. Because normally, maybe say, right, they're expecting to be able to make $5,000 in revenues, just a random number. If it's 5K in revenue off that first wave, right? If normally that's what they would expect to, based on what they requested in terms of allocation, but then their allocation comes in, and from what I've heard, of like even less than half of what they would normally get, then the price has to go up, right? Because they've got to still achieve the 5K theoretically. That's still the target. And plus, supply and demand, right? Less supply, high demand, the market's going to bear a higher value per pack. And so therefore allocations lower, cost higher, accessibility lower. I think there's just a lot more value in Mega Dream. I think that's going to continue to play out down the road here. And I think it's very similar because similar to Prismatic Evolutions, where it's still more cost effective to get a box of Terrestrial Festival versus trying to hit an SIR out of Prismatic. It's traumatic evolutions. It's whatever nickname you might want to assign with it. The hit rates are super hard on that. I don't know what Ascended Heroes might look like, but if it's anything close to being similar to that, plus the elevated price tag on the English product, you have more guarantees out of Japanese. And so I know with that comes lower card value. So if you're collecting strictly for the value of the cards, then yeah, Mega Dream is probably not going to be your ideal avenue, right? Because if you want the value of the cards, then it's going to be the English set. That's always typically how it's been. But the lower accessibility, all that kind of stuff, I just think getting your hands on the product and how much it's going to cost per rip kind of thing is not as cost efficient, not anywhere close to cost efficient. I don't think nearly as valuable. To get the fun of ripping, to get the fun of getting the artworks and seeing the really great offerings the set has, I think Mega Dream EX is going to be a good way to go. And so I think that's going to kind of maintain. And I remember Terrestrial Festival kind of, I guess, the lower point dipping to like maybe high 70s in terms of cost per box. I don't see it going much lower than that. I have seen, it priced in like the 80s, Mega Dream that is, recently. And from what I've seen from my Japanese suppliers, it's like I just don't see it going much lower than that. And then when Ascended Heroes comes out and everybody realizes how difficult it is to get access to the product and then how much they'd have to pay for it, I think you're going to see people look to Mega Dream as an alternative to still get those same artworks. Like if you're intent on collecting the set for the art, for the different hits, the particular Pokemon, because it's just more cost efficient, and let's be real, not all of us have $20 or have enough money to spend $20 per pack on Ascended Heroes, like right off the bat coming out like that. So I think Mega Dream's going to still hold value there, and I think we could see the price creep up. So like I was saying with Prismatic, is that it dipped down to, or Terrestrial Festival, I should say, the Japanese version dipped down to like high 70s or so, and then now like the value's back up. I mean, it is not cheap to get Terrestrial Festival from Japanese suppliers right now. It is definitely more expensive than it had been, a few weeks after the initial release, and even when it was still being heavily produced and all that. So, that's just my opinion on what I think is going on. So I think there's still good value in Mega Dream and continuing to have that on stock, because I think people will ultimately turn to that as the alternative, right? Just like we'll see some people, I know people want to do English 151 or even Japanese 151, but if you're willing to do Japanese 151, the only difference you're going to find between Japanese 151 and Korean 151 is the actual value of the cards. And so if you're collecting specifically for that, yeah, this video doesn't really necessarily apply to you. So if you're looking at the value of the cards, but if you're looking at the cost to rip and the cool stuff you get for that cost, Korean 151 is a great alternative, right? It is much more affordable than the Japanese product, per pack, way more affordable than English. And you still get to experience the awesome artworks, the nostalgia of the original 151, all that good stuff. So that's just my opinion here. Take it for what it's worth. This isn't like investing information or anything like that. So full disclaimer, I'm not saying grab a bunch of Mega Dream, hold on to it for investment, and then resell or that kind of thing. I just think from a collector standpoint, it's gonna hold value from a ripping, an opening perspective, and the accessibility and all that. So appreciate you guys checking out another one of our videos here. Again, we're Scro Rips on all the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. We're going to have some fun stuff, including monthly giveaways that are going to be introduced here. We're trying to get some more traffic, full transparency, full traffic, or more traffic directly filtered to the website. And then, again, we got live rips on TikTok. So make sure you're following us there if you're on TikTok, and then that way you can catch us when we're live. we've got a giveaway set up that's going to happen for TikTok specifically. 1,000 followers on TikTok, and we're going to have 2 giveaways. We're going to give away a box hit each from Chinese Gem 3. So check us out on TikTok. You can see the cards there. I keep them up on the stands to show you guys. One's Grivard, Art Rare, and then the other one's the Mimikyu. So 2 lucky followers will be going home with that. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers. That's when the giveaway is going to happen. Reach 1,000 followers in 2026. So spread the word. Tell your friends to hop on there, follow us, all that good stuff. That way you can make sure that you're catching us when we're live, and then you can catch us when we do the giveaway. The giveaway is going to be on TikTok on one of the lives. So you got to be following and you got to be tuning in. All right. So appreciate you guys. Been blessed, and 2026 is going to be great. So scarrips.com. Don't forget to go there. Check it out. Buy some stuff. Thanks.